welcome to Homebrew Wild and Cheap. So this is part 2 of the beer that we started about a week ago, but it's going to take 21 days for it to finish up. So after a week and a half of it sitting by my radiator with me keeping it at about 18 degrees, which was no simple task, setting up my heating, my one electric heater down here, to do 18 degrees. There was a lot of fiddling about with a thermometer, but you don't have to be as exact. It's just you need it somewhere from 16 to 20 degrees because ale yeast will give you really funny flavours, or beer yeast give you funny flavours. Wine yeast is a bit more forgiving, but again you'll need temperatures. So I've got the beer down here and I'll bring it up in a minute, but I wanted to talk about my pressure barrel. Oh yeah, look at this. This is a relic of a pressure barrel. Now, I was gifted this about a year ago, and it's just been sitting collecting dust. It was sitting in a shed for over 10 years, so why am I using this instead of just buying one? Tesco's Direct do a pressure barrel pretty much the same as this one, and it was £12.50. But my thinking is that if I can get this one clean and sterile and it doesn't go off, I mean, look at it, it's pretty manky. A little bit busted, but it will do. If I can get this one clean and sterile using my beloved bleach and washing up liquid, then anyone can do it. And this just goes to show that a little bit of scrubbing goes a long way. So it's already got some bleach in here. Now I haven't added any water. It has got a cheeky quarter of a litre or half a litre. Anything over a quarter of a litre will do fine of bleach. It also has a good glug of washing up liquid, dish soap. I'm using Fairy dish soap because it's the best that we get in this country. Your country has the best dish soap, so dish has the best soap for your country. Use that. It's going to save you a lot of time and hassle. Always make sure this is closed. I just poured a little bit of bleach everywhere. It's aiding in sterilizing my floor. So yeah, that's a foamy mess of bleach and washing up liquid. So it's looking pretty cool. So I've given it a rinse around on the inside. Now it's time to scrub it. Now normally you've got one of these. These are bottle brushes. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but basically they're about this long. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, it's pretty useless. So I got my little thinking hat on. And I got one of these. Yeah, so you may be thinking what this is. This is not a bottle brush. It kind of has a limited lifespan because it's not designed for scrubbing bottles. This is a Radiator cleaning brush. It's to get down the side of the radiator and everything, but the bristles, they're not soft. They're, funny enough, actually harder than these ones. And it fits all the way down with room to spare. And you can bend it and shape it just like an ordinary bottle brush. So I'm going to be using this. This actually cost me £1. I think it was £1. Yeah, it was £1. I picked them up in the cheap dollar store, pound store, you know, the usual stores where you can pick up random stuff. You can also buy proper radiator brushes, but they don't have the bristles. You can also use a sink cleaner, you know, the drain unblocker. They normally have a head on them that you can swirl around, just so you can get in all the nooks and crannies inside of your pressure barrel. Obviously, if you're bottling, using bottles, you can just use this. You know, this should in theory save me some time. So, what I'm going to do is disappear off upstairs, jam-pack this full of water in my shower, and then, yeah, scrub the living Jesus out of it, bejesus out of this thing. Yeah. And then we'll be back, and then I can finish sterilizing this and the top cap, since they're going to have to do them separately, because funny enough, you can't sterilize it if you can't hold water in it. So I'll be back in a bit. So we have our beer, which is up here, and as you can see, it has stopped bubbling. It's, you know, just beer. Haven't opened it up yet, so I've got my hydrometer, which is now in clean water, not in sterilizing water. I've cleaned it off and rinsed it, put it in there. I'll also want this container because I want to take a little bit of the yeast that's in the bottom. Since this is a lager yeast, Mexican lager yeast, whatever, it's a yeast unknown type, but it is a homebrew type, so I'm going to be using some of that for my experiment. Also going to have a cheeky vape. Found this new e-liquid. It's really tasty. It's yeah, it's toffee sauce. Tastes like it too. Anyway, so what I've got in front is I've got my destructions, which came with the beer kit. I'm actually following the instructions. So we've done that. Now comes to, it says leave to stand for 4 to 6 days in a warm place between 18 and 20 degrees. I've done that. Fermentation will, yeah. So, the specific gravity, which is the reading that comes off the hydrometer, needs to say less, well, about 1.8. So that's why I took the hydrometer reading before. So let's open this beast up. Carbonated. But it does smell of beer. If you don't ferment it in its temperature range, because certain yeasts do like certain temperature ranges, you end up with off flavours. In this case, it will have a sort of cidery taste. That can be partially to do with the sugar, instead of using brewing sugar, or it can be done with temperature. You can also make it too hot and it smells kind of sulphury, like eggs. So here's my lovely clean thing. Let's give it a go. Wait for it to stop bobbing. Yeah, that's novel. So it says below 1.8, and this is teetering at 10, no, 1, there's 1, 1. So this is actually more alcoholic than I thought. Let's give it a try. Tastes quite nice, actually. So, from that, this is actually about 4.5% currently. I'm not going to argue with that. So we're going to have to prime the sugar in the barrel, because we want it to be bubbly. So I've got my scales, got everything set up. I'm just going to get my siphoning tube, which I have, funny enough, formed a siphon so it can clear out all of that bleachy water. So I'm just going to get that. I'm going to open my lovely tub. Lovely clean and sterilised tub. Just double check. Yeah, it smells clean and fresh. I got my stupidly long tube, which I'm going to dunk in anywhere around there. Whoop, he says. And form my siphon. Get in. Stay. So now I've got a long wait for this to get all the way down to the bottom. Where did I put them? Ah, no, that'll do. The joys of doing other stuff. You always have tools about, so I'm going to stick you there. Nearly, just undo it a bit more. And that holds it in place, so we can just leave that there. Because we're transferring this into there, this little thing here, as long as nothing falls in, be perfect, since I know they're clean, because I don't do much with them. So, we're going to prime the barrel. Now, I'm actually going to follow the instructions. So, it says here, if you're doing it in a pressure barrel, which I am, you're going to need 85 grams of sugar. Oh yeah. If you're doing it per bottle, that's half a teaspoon per pint. Okay. So I'm going to measure out approximately 85 grams. A little bit more isn't really going to make too much difference. So, lovely clear white sugar. 10, 30, 60. Oop. That's 100. I think that's a little bit too much. That's 50. Of course. 60, 70. So that's 88 grams of sugar. It's about 85. You're never going to get it exact unless you really go nuts. It's no fun. But approximately. Now this is going to raise the alcohol even more. It is currently about 4.5%, which is more than it said, even though I followed the instructions properly. The only real way of making sure is to measure everything before, but approximately works just well. Just fine. Yeah, good. So, now I'm going to let this siphon into here. Catch you in a bit. Right, so it has finally finished taking the beer from here and putting it in the pressure barrel. It took, 45 minutes using this really tiny little tube. But, that being said, it's really good for wine, because funny enough, it takes away a lot of the sediment, because it takes it away slowly. Whoops. Okay, I'll just spill a little bit on the floor, that's fine. So I'll move this out of the way. So, what we've got now, unlike with wine where you get wastage, with beer you can pretty much use it all. So I want to keep this crust at the bottom. And I've got myself just some clear water from the tap, and I'm just going to pour that in and stick the lid on. Mix it around so I can put it in this, which is a sterilized container, so I can use this yeast in another experiment. Recycling. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So, pull this up now. So there was pretty much no waste in the whole of this thing. There was milliliters waste in this whole barrel, which is pretty cool. I can see why people like making beer. Still not my thing. So the whole house smells of beer. It's very Moorish. So basically, I've got my 88 grams instead of 85. Close as you can get. And I'm not even going to worry about mixing it all up. I'm just going to put it straight in. Lovely. And now I'm going to screw this lid on. Fairly tightly. So this is now all pressure sealed in this barrel. There's a little bit of beer. It does taste quite nice, I will be fairly honest. It doesn't taste bad, it definitely doesn't smell bad. So what we're going to do with this is for 2 days I'm going to keep it at the temperature of about 18 degrees. Basically I'm going to put it back where that fermenter was. And then I'm going to leave it for another 14 days. Now you may be thinking, where does the yeast go? Because there's that. The yeast falls to the bottom. So if I turn this up, so in a wine bottle, you get this lip, just like this, because you can see this is convex. Ooh. So in a wine bottle, you get that lip. Now it's a general rule that the deeper, the more angular that lip is underneath, the better the wine is. Tip for the day. And that's because as the yeast drops, it will drop to the bottom here and leave all this lovely stuff clean and purified at the top. So this is in a fairly good place. So anything below here, it's going to be yeast and crud. Anything above should be tasty, tasty beer. Or if you're doing wine, wine. So, we'll be back to try this. Right, so 21 days later, and this is now finished. It is finished conditioning, which basically just means it's finished pressurizing and all the yeast has floated to the bottom, down here. So when you pour your pint out of the tap, you get this. Lovely, clear, looking pretty, got a relatively nice small head, which is awesome. And with all Mexican beers, in my humble opinion, it needs some lemon or lime. So I'm going to squeeze in that. Instead of popping it in, let's throw it in my bin. So, 21 days from start to pint. Now, how does it taste? I'm going to tell you. that is a very nice pint. It is lightly malted, tiny little bit of hops in there, I think. The lemon is a very good combination, but it is a very nice, clear, easy drinking beer at 4.4%. I'm not including the sugar I added in because that's minimal. But yeah, 21 days and I have 40 pints of Mexican beer, which I can pull from my very own barrel. Now, it would be nice if I had a pump, but you know, that's just how things go. So I'm going to have a very nice pint. So, things that you need to know while making this. One, this pressure barrel is very old, so I need to buy a new spigot down here and a new cap. If I'm going to do some more, which I may do, because beer is a nice, easy drinking summer drink. Other than that, it's really just temperature. You've really got to make sure that you have good temperatures. If your temperatures are off, you can get funny tastes in beer. If you're willing to take the extra bit of time and do the temperatures correctly, you end up with something that's very, very pleasant. Otherwise, it can get an off taste, or if you use sugar, it can get a sort of cidery taste. But this doesn't have that. It has a beer taste. Or I should say lager taste. Oh yeah, and I'm wearing my Hardy's wine t-shirt. Gotta love it. All in all, I would say this was a success. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I hope you share, rate, and subscribe, and send a message, you know, just the usual stuff. And I will catch you in the next video. So, take care, guys. Cheers.